Welcome to this video. So this is part 2 of the CICD session. You may want to refer the part 1 video to get a better understanding of the whole process and different tools and configurations used for the CICD session.
I'm Kumar and welcome to my channel on tech and tutorials.
So I guess we have covered all the required components in our CI/CD pipeline. So let us go ahead to Jenkins and start creating our pipeline. This is my Jenkins server, and let's go ahead and create new job, new item. Okay. In here, let us put a name for our Jenkins job. Let us put Python CI/CD pipeline and click on pipeline and click OK. So in this create Jenkins job page, I'll do a discard old builds and keep max number of builds to maybe 5 for now, and then moving ahead we will have to create a pipeline script in here. So for the pipeline script, I was saying we will use declarative pipeline. So let us go ahead and start writing our pipeline script. Okay, pipeline and then the curly braces. We would need to define the environment variables, but we'll come back later on that. We'll define the agents any, and then we start to create our stages. And okay, just put our first stage, which should be the checking out from GitHub build checkout, and then again a curly brace, and then the command we have to put for checking out the code from GitHub. We need to define these steps, and then the git command, and then the URL for our code. So this is where our code is. So let me actually go to this URL and show you in there. And this is a public repository. You can also download it. You can put the same code and you can use this project. So once you go to this URL, you can copy this whole URL, https github.com, and then the other parameters, and you can copy and you can paste it in your Jenkins pipeline if you want to use this code. Okay, now coming back, this is our first stage, and we have already done with our first stage. If we want, we can run this job and check it, but let us write another stage before doing that. So the next stage would be to build this image after pulling down our code from GitHub. So stage build image and steps, and in this one we'll use a script, and inside the script we have to build our image. So let us first define a variable, and we probably have to define our environment right now because we want to use our repositories URL and the tag. So for that, let us define our environment variable right away before using this creating the image. Okay, so this is our environment, and this is the registry, DockerHub registry, where we will push our images, KSS and Python Jenkins, and the registry credentials, which is the DockerHub login credentials which we have created, which I've shown you earlier. And then the Docker image, I have defined a variable in here which we will be using it after we create the image for this code. So also we can define this image as a global variable because we are going to need this image outside of this stage. So let me do one thing. Let me actually create a variable here, image. Okay, so let me show you the DockerHub registry. So let's open a tab and let me paste it here. So this is a public repository or registry, but looks like it's asking for, okay, let's open a tab and paste this one. Okay, so this is the DockerHub registry where we will be pushing our images. I've cleaned this one right now, so this is fully empty. Okay, and then of course the DockerHub login, which we have created in Jenkins, and which we will be using these credentials to push images to our DockerHub account. So now let us put the image name with the registry, then concatenate, and then we will define the tag name. So we'll put a colon, then we will use the variable, Jenkins variable env.build underscore id. So build underscore id will give us the id number of the build whenever we run this Jenkins job. So we will be using that id, for example 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever job number which is running, it will give us that id, and then that will be concatenated with the registry name, DockerHub registry name, and the same name we will use as the image name. Okay, so I have put this println statement so that if we want to see it in the console output, we can see that. So the next step is to create the Docker image, and then we'll use this variable Docker image and docker image, then docker dot build, then braces, then we will provide the variable image dollar. Okay, so this is done now. So we have our image ready on this Jenkins server 192.168.1.15. So what we are supposed to do next, so let us go to our pipeline diagram. So what we are doing, we have Jenkins is doing all the work in here, as you see, and as I was saying earlier, it's going to do a checkout, and then it's going to do a build, and then it is supposed to be deploying it in a QA server. But in this case, what we are doing is we are going to run this Docker image in the same machine where Jenkins is running. So this machine already has Docker, so it should not be any problem if I run this image in this Jenkins machine only. So let us go ahead and mimic this deployment and run it in our Jenkins server. So just name it as testing and running in Jenkins node, and we have our curly braces, then steps, then we do our steps, and again a curly brace. So in this step, what we are going to do is we are going to run it in the shell. So for that, we are going to use the shell in our pipeline script. So I came to finding out the pipeline syntax. So we are going to use the shell which is provided by Jenkins. So for that, let us go to the pipeline syntax and let us go to shell script, and the command which we are going to run is docker run -d, and let us put a name of this Docker container. So for the name, what we can do is we can provide the build name. So for example, for our pipeline script, the build name is Python CICD pipeline. So that would be the name which we are going to put for our container. So for that, we have to provide this variable dollar and curly braces and job underscore name, and then we have to provide the port. The port is same 5000. We didn't do any changes, and we are going to still use the same port 5000, and then finally we will be using the image name. The image is this one on which we are building. So we are going to use this image, this variable. Let me copy this and then we'll paste it here. Now we'll do a generate pipeline script which will give us this command. Okay, let us take this and we'll copy it here. So this is going to run our Docker image in our Jenkins machine, and this completes the stage of deploying to the QA server, and the next stage is publishing to the DockerHub. So let us complete that before trying to run this whole script, and let me put another stage and push to DockerHub. Now in this one, we are going to use a script again here. So let me make this a little bigger. So here we are going to use the CloudBees plugin to push our image to the DockerHub. So we are going to use this command docker.with registry and the URL of the registry registry.docker.registry.hub.docker.com, and then the registry credentials which we have already defined above here in the environment variables. And then we are supposed to push our image. So docker image, this variable, and then push and braces. Okay, so this completes our pushing to the DockerHub registry. Now if we come here, we are complete up till this stage, publish to DockerHub. We are yet to code our deploy to prod. In our case, we are deploying to an Ubuntu machine server, and so up till now we have not yet run this code or run this pipeline. Let us do one thing. Let us actually run once this pipeline and see how it works. We should be seeing an image in our DockerHub after running this code, and we should be seeing our image running in this Jenkins server also, because we are running this image here. So let us save this and and let us do a build now, and then let us go to the console output and see. Okay, not yet, it's not yet come. Console output. Okay, it just started. Okay, it's checking out the code from GitHub. Okay, it's doing the build. Okay, So this is a failure here. Docker run -d -name python -port and requires at least one argument. So let us go back to our job, to the project, configure. So the next stage also did not run because of the failure, and let us see where it is failing. Maybe it is because of the single quotes. Let me put a double quote and check it. Okay, now this time it's passed, and I think it's trying to push to the DockerHub. The tag is 2 here, the build ID 2. It's saying it's already pushed. Okay, so this is success now. Let us go to our DockerHub and refresh and see if anything has come up here. Okay, so we see one in here which got pushed just now, tag 2 for this registry. Okay, so this is good now. Now let us go to our Jenkins machine and see if any containers are running. So for that we have to use our docker command, docker ps, and you see here this is the one which is running. And so let me make this little bigger. I want to see the name. The name which we provided was the job name Python CICD pipeline. Let me rerun this command, and okay, still it doesn't show. So let me clear the screen and do a docker ps. Okay, now you see the name here, names, docker python CICD pipeline. Okay, so this is fine now. So looks like our script is working up till now. Let us go back to the project and finish writing our Jenkins pipeline. So let us write the code for deploying to the production, or in our case we would be pushing our image or running our image in this Ubuntu server. Of course, this when we are running in this Ubuntu server, it's going to pull down the image from the DockerHub. So that's why I put this arrow in here. So let us code for that part of this pipeline and stage, and I'll just say running in staging. And this is purely an ssh-agent plugin which we are using for running this code. Let us start to write code for running it in our Ubuntu machine. So this one's also going to be a script. Okay, now we are going to use the ssh-agent plugin. So for that, let us go to the pipeline syntax and ssh. This is what we are going to use. Okay, so here docker login with ssh. This is what we will use for logging in into that Ubuntu server. And then we are going to write the script, but before that, let us do a generate pipeline script. If you want to look into this ssh-agent plugin using in Jenkins, you can refer my other video. I will put it down in the description section. So generate pipeline script, and then we are going to copy this whole thing, ssh-agent, and then docker test is the credentials name, docker test. And then we come here and we will just copy this one here. Okay, now this is the main block where we will be running our shell commands. So for running our shell commands, we will be using the same shell plugin. So if you come here and you can generate this running it using this generate pipeline syntax, and if you go to the advanced, you see here return exit status. You can click this checked and you can write the script in here, or whatever command you want to run, you can put it in this. So our command will be ssh -o strict host checking equals to no, and then docker is the username with which we will be logging into our Ubuntu server. Our Ubuntu server is 192.168.1.16, and then the name of the image. So if we just provide the name of the image, it's going to pull down from the DockerHub registry, which is, of course, in this case it is public, so it's going to pull down. It doesn't need any username and password, and then we have it will run it in this machine. So this is the command. This is the ssh command which we are going to run, but I have not yet provided the command to run. This is just for the ssh. The command, I will put it in a variable. So let us try to generate this script first, and return status equals to true means this is going to run this. It doesn't matter the output of this script or this command, it will always return a status of true. If you want, you can keep this, or if you want, you can remove this return exit status for this command. So this is just, I wanted to show you, that's why I put this. So for this command, I will not use this return status. We'll be using it for another command. I'll show you that. And let me do a generate script, and let me copy this whole thing and come back to our Jenkins pipeline and let us paste it here. Okay, so here we need to provide the command for running the image. So this command is a little bit long, that's why let me define a variable and put the command. This is the command. I have defined it in a variable dev docker run, and then this is the same command which we have used in the above while running it in the Jenkins node, docker run -d and the other parameters. And then we are going to use this variable in this command $, and then we are going to use this variable. Okay, now let me change this to double quotes, otherwise again it will complain. Okay, so this is going to run this image in this Ubuntu server. So in the meantime, let me also see if my Ubuntu server is running. So all this, both of this Linux CentOS where I'm running this Jenkins, and the Ubuntu server is running in the virtual box, as I said earlier. So let us start this Ubuntu server in the meantime. And okay, you would know that whenever I run this job, this command is going to start, and of course this command is also going to start whenever I run this pipeline job. And whatever images or containers which are running in this machine, those will also be running in the same machine, and it's going to fail because it will not be able to run with the same name, because I have provided a name for this container. So what we need to do is we need to stop the running containers in this machine, in this Ubuntu machine, before running our image. Otherwise there will be duplicate containers. There will be so many containers whenever I run this job. So for that we are going to add some code in before running this container in this Ubuntu server. So I have just defined some variables here for stopping the container, docker stop with the job name. So that's why I'm using the job name while running the container, so that it's easy to stop and easy to delete also. So what I'm doing is I don't want to fill up my machine with a lot of images and a lot of containers. So I'm just trying to stop the container and delete the images, and of course delete all the images in that machine, whatever is there, because this machine is just going to run only a single image and it's not going to have any other containers or images in this server. Of course, while if you are planning to run it in a Kumar'S cluster, then the commands and the stages would be different, but in our case we are running it directly in a Linux server. So let us code the command to stop the container. Make it a little bigger. So this is the command. Basically I am using the return status true, because in case if this container first time if we are running, then there would be no container to stop and this command will fail, and eventually the other remaining commands will not run. That's why I have put this return status as true, so that if there is no container also, it passes this stage and goes to the next command. Okay, so the next command would be to delete the containers. Okay, after stopping it we have to delete the container, and then the third command would be to delete the images. Okay, and for all these commands I put a return status is true, so that first time it runs it should not fail and it should at least start this last command. Okay, so this completes running in my production server or demo production server in our case. Okay, so yep, now we need to do one more thing. If you remember, we have already run this job once successfully. That means our image is already running in my 192.168.1.15, so which I have shown you. This is already running at port 5000. Okay, so let us go and check that, and then come back to this pipeline script and write some more stages, right? Basically one more stage to stop this container which is running in this Jenkins machine. Whenever I run this job, it should stop the existing container and it should run the container for that particular new job. So let us go to this browser and see that our image is running. So 5000, and this is the same application, welcome to Flask app. And if you remember, hello, and we have another page for this. So the site has been visited 1 time. Okay, so and then it keeps on increasing. So our image is running fine, and yeah, this is the image which is running fine, which showed you earlier. And let me click some more refresh. Next time when I run this job, it should kill this existing image and it should start a new image. So let us go back to the pipeline script and let us do one thing. Let us actually put the commands to stop this existing image. Okay, so what shall we do? Shall we put it within this stage? Okay, it might be better to put it in another stage. So stop existing container, and let us code this one, steps. Okay, so this is the script to stop the existing container. I'm using the same return status and then the same way of running this script, putting it inside this script parameter and docker stop, and it will find whatever Docker containers that are running using the job name. And if you see the job name here, so while running the container, we are using the job name. That's why I'm able to use the same job name to search, grep and search and stop the container. And then the next command would be to remove this container from the Docker, and then the third command would be to clear all the images from this Jenkins server so that it does not keep on pulling the same image every time whenever I run this job. It should not fill up my machine. So I'm trying to clear all the images in this machine from this registry. I'm using the force option with this command. Okay, so looks like our Jenkins pipeline script is fully complete now. Now let us try to run this whole pipeline script. But before that, let us look into and see if our Ubuntu server is running or not. So new session 192.168.1.16. Okay, so this is not working. So let us go to our VirtualBox and see that it is running fine. Okay, and let's go to the Ubuntu server. Okay, and let us check the IP address 192.168.1.11. Okay, so looks like the IP got changed to 168.1.11. Okay, so the IP address of my Ubuntu server got changed. Looks like I need to give it a static IP just like my other CentOS server. So let me log in here. So by the way, I have another video on setting static IP on Linux server in a virtual machine, basically in a VirtualBox virtual machine. So see here, the IP is 192.168.1.11. Okay, that is fine. For now, we will do one thing. We can come to this machine pipeline. We can come to this pipeline and we can change the IP address, and that will solve our problem 11. And let's check one more thing. Systemctl and status Docker, that's running. Docker is running, and Docker PS. We don't have anything running here. Any running images, running containers. Docker PS is empty. Docker images is also empty. Okay, now let us do a final check and see if we are missing anything. Well, I don't see anything. Everything seems to be fine. So now let us save this and then let us do a build now. Okay, so let's see the console output. It's installing the Python packages, pip install. Okay, it got failed. Unable to find image locally. Docker run -d error, no such image. Okay, so we need to fix this. Let us go back to the project and see where is the problem. So coming back to the pipeline script, and problem here which is happening is we are building the image and then we are running this command to remove the images. So what we need to do is we need to put this line before this one. So we need to stop the container and we need to remove the images from this machine, and then it should build. What was happening is I was creating the image in this machine and then I'm running the stopping existing container, and in this part of this stage I am deleting the images. So the next stage, it is not finding any image to run. That's where it is failing. So let us save this one again and then let us do a build now again, and let's go to the console output. Okay, now it got probably past Docker run, and then it's going to try to log in into pushing the image to the DockerHub registry, tag number 4, and it says as pushed. So we can go to the DockerHub and do a refresh here. In the meantime, let's see, finish our Jenkins pipeline job, and here in this stage it's trying to log in into the Ubuntu server. Okay, downloaded new image, and probably it has run the image in that Ubuntu server. So let us go to first to our DockerHub and see that tag number 4 is showing up in here. Number third one, it got failed, so it didn't push anything in this registry. Now we should go and check in both of our machines. So here docker ps, and you should see the 4th job which is running, of course, with the same name, container name. And then we go to minimize this, go here and check the images. You see the tag ID 4 in here, it was pushed just now. And then let's see the docker ps, and the 4th build is running, and this one's also having the same name. So what we need to do is we need to open this URL for both of these servers and check that our application is running fine. So first let us check in 192.168.1.15 where our Jenkins is running. Let me do a refresh, and the site has been visited 1 time. Okay, so this is the new image. Okay, and let me go to the home page as well. Welcome to Flask app. Okay, so this is fine now. Now let us check the same application in my Ubuntu server. So the 11 is the IP address, 192.168.1.11, and hit enter, and we see the same application running here as well. And let me change 3, and you see the site has been visited 1 time. And do a refresh, and you should see that it is increasing. So this is all good and fine now. So everything seems to be working fine without any issue. Now let us do one final test and see that the whole script is running. We have added some commands to delete the existing container on our Ubuntu server, which is running in staging, which I have defined for this job. And let us do a build now for the last time to check all the code is running fine or not. So going to the job and then the console output. Okay, yep, the 5th build is running. Okay, total reclaimed space 10 MB. Looks like our script command is running fine, which is supposed to be removing the images. Okay, it shows a success in here. So let us go ahead and check status on this machine, Ubuntu server. So docker ps should be the 5th one, and there should be only 1 image, the 5th for the 5th build, tag ID 5, and seems to be okay. Now let us go to the console and let us do a refresh of this URL. Let's hit refresh, and this got changed. The site has been visited 1 time, and okay, this is good. Now let's see this app also. This is also running fine in this Jenkins server. Oh, and okay, so this site has been visited 1 time, so this is also fine. So for a final time we can check in this machine again, docker ps, and this is the 5th one is there, it's running, and then docker images, and we see the 5th image. Yeah, we see the 5th image, and then of course this one for pushing it into the registry, the Python one, because we are using that for making our image for this application. Okay, so that completes the whole CICD pipeline, and I hope it was helpful to you and you got to learn something. This is a basic CICD pipeline which I have shown is basically running everything in one same machine without any Kubernetes cluster or anything, just to show you the whole picture of the CICD pipeline, what and where it goes, the images and the whole flow, and how you can do it in your own machine. Please do hit the like button or comment about this session. Surely motivates me. Also don't forget to subscribe for more informative videos. Thanks a lot and see you in the next video.